And everybody, Fatimix here. Welcome back to Let's Play Frostpunk. It's day 40 now. The Great Frost, the hideous storm about to arrive, literally less than 2 hours away. If we take a look at our map, yeah, it's about to engulf us. It's not too bad down here, but almost everywhere we've explored, and the city itself not looking, excuse me, particularly fantastic. Now there's one change we need to make right away, and that is to tear down the Faith Keepers, because there's not enough heat where it is. So I want to do that, and we're going to rebuild it in the heat zone, so we're not going to just leave it torn down. The other thing I should mention is that it looks like what's probably going to happen is it's going to be a lot less activity than normal. Like, you know, yesterday's video was much shorter, and I think that's going to be a pattern, actually, because there isn't any cooking to do, there isn't any hunting to do, there's a lot less pulling people in and out. I want to set this over here. Shouldn't need any more housing, so it shouldn't matter that much where it is. Just want to put it in place, connect up a street, and be done with it. And of course we could tear down some of the hunting places or cookhouses, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to destroy our future infrastructure for after the storm passes. So, but yeah, probably going to be relatively brief videos comparatively. So, want to pause it there and turn on the generator. And one of the big things is going to be managing the heat, obviously. If we take a look, we're at livable, and it's about to get even colder, so we want it to be boost that temperature. And then I want to pause it again there because we need to get the infirmary one headed. Of course, we are researching health insulation, but until we get it, we're going to need that. So it's really going to be a matter of just trying to manage all the steam hubs, getting them on at the right times so we can maximize all of our coal. Now here comes the temperature drop again. The storm hits the city. A howling gale bursts upon the city, and the generator creaks and groans under the weight of the wind. Pale faces turn towards rattling windows, trembling lips utter words of prayer. The cold will be brutal. Hunting is impossible. The soil in the hothouses will freeze. We'll have to make do with the food we've stockpiled. The city must survive. Okay, we need to survive the storm. All that's left is survive until it passes. We've prepared well, or so they say. Okay, here we go. Now, we need to bump on now a bunch more steam hubs. And that's because it's gonna be work time, so we want to have the ones up for the child shelters. We want to have this one up for the steam coal mine there. And you can see the care house is too cold, but I don't really care about that so long as I keep the infirmaries warm enough. Everybody should be able to go there. So we're going to turn this one on for the steam thumper, or the coal thumper rather. And we want one for these mines and for the workshops by them. And this one over here. So all kinds of steam hubs going on, a whole bunch of coal is going to go out. And you can see the warmth spreading. And it really only takes about 15 to 20 minutes, but by doing it half an hour ahead, I just make sure that we don't miss on anything. Okay, we did get the Faith Keepers built, which is pretty cool. It's time to get everybody to work and see what happens today. Alright, now I think we're all set as the beacon is retracted.
Lord, be with us as we labor today.
And of course we've got the automatons visiting the sawmill and the 2 steel. And they're not going to be in there super long. They're going to take a little bit of time to refuel, and I need to give them a refueling break at the end of the day. But for now, they're in there. Now, everybody's at work, and let's go ahead and, yeah, we got another tip for more supplies. Everybody's at work, and I'm going to go ahead and pause it here because I want to get some other construction going, and let me explain that a bit. Now, the storm is getting worse. You know, because before it arrives, it looks like it's just going to be negative 90 the whole time, which is pretty darn horrible. Well, it's going to drop a level tomorrow, and a level the day after, and a level the day after that. And what that means is we're going to need all the warmth we can everywhere that it's important for people to work. I want to have a field kitchen up just in case in those places. So I want to have one up here and one up over here. And let's go ahead and put the one that I had back in place over here. And we're going to want one over here by this coal thumper. And we're also going to want one over here because of the mines, or the workshops. So let me just hook that up. You know what, it wouldn't hurt just to run that street all the way over there. We have the wood. And then we're going to want one over here by this coal mine. And I'm not planning on staffing any of these right away. But I want them to be in place. And of course, you know, using up that much food, that could be problematic as well. We'll only use them if we need them. But the thing about it is, we're going to want to keep research going. We're going to want to keep coal coming. And that may be the only way that we can keep things warm enough to do it. It at least will buy us a little time and give us a little more operation. So I'm going to see how that works out. But look, if it's going to get colder, now's the time to do this. So that's the idea behind that. And then now I basically just need to move forward and get that research done, because there really isn't a whole lot to do at the moment. See our food gradually going down, but the coal is actually slightly rising. Even with all these steam hubs going on, we're pumping in enough to actually make it go up, which is great. You can just hear the wind howling. It's not subtle. That generator having to work overtime just to, well, work at its peak capacity, rather, we should say, just to keep things at, you know, the standard livable temperature. And there we go with the healthcare installation research. So we can turn this off. Now we'll just have to turn it back on tomorrow because of the temperature dropping again. But it still is going to save us, I mean, until, what's that, you know, 7 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. So it's going to save us like almost 14 hours, or almost 16 hours rather, of running that steam hub. It's still going to save us some. And it also means that we should be able to survive even the coldest part with the infirmaries running. So that's going to be helpful. Of course, what do we research next? Well, because the storm is getting colder and we're going to need the field kitchens and everything, take a look at this. It's livable now. And the gathering posts are the same, and these are the most vulnerable temperature-wise. You can see, like, the steam coal mine's warmer. So if it's livable now, then it'll be chilly tomorrow. And then cold, which means we won't want to operate it that day. Well, let's say we turn on the field kitchens. Okay, that gets us through that day. Now it's going to be even colder then. So we're eventually going to have to turn them off unless we address this. And then we may have some cold problems, and who knows how long the storm lasts. So the way that I want to address that is by going in this area. We can get the steam coal thumper, which basically doubles the output, and that'll also make it warmer. Makes it one more bit of insulation there. So that'll handle the coal thumper side, and we can eventually get to gathering post insulation. Got to get the faster gathering first, so I want to hit that next. But that's the direction that I'd like to go in. And then I don't want to go too far here because I want to, and not forget at this time, I want to handle the automaton situation. Now I might be able to go a little tighter, but I've discovered that if I pull them out of their jobs with 3 hours to go in their shift, 2 hours is usually not enough, then they will be able to refuel before I need to. I'm having trouble clicking on the right thing here. It won't. There we go. Before I want to put them in the coal mines at the end of the day. So again, this only gives them a few hours to work on the wood and the steel, but do we really care? No, we do not, because we don't. I mean, we're at almost 600 steel, more than that in wood. We have plenty. That's not a major concern right now. And we can drop down now to 1 infirmary. 1 less heater running. Again, we're looking for every little thing that we can do to improve the situation. Hope is low, and one thing I meant to do earlier and didn't, so let's go ahead and do our evening prayers. And our sermon. And our ceremonial service while we're at it. Of course, we're using up food for this, but I think we've got enough. That'll boost hope a little bit. We're still going to be struggling with that some for sure. And there we are, closing time. No town crier, it's too cold out even for him. So it's time to shut down a bunch of steam hubs and get people out of the workplace. So by my count, the difference is 5 steam hubs and 23 heaters. As the automatons are going along doing their thing, but they're headed to work. They headed to work immediately, so that's good. But that is a huge coal difference, obviously. We're up to almost 5,800 coal. And now as we watch what this is going to do overnight, and it's slowly declining. But the 3 automatons in the steam coal mines can keep it running at almost our needs. So honestly, at the current usage, we could almost break even on coal and potentially survive this indefinitely on coal. So that would make food actually the highest priority and the thing we want to watch the most. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, if that holds, we may not, if it holds in that situation, may want to say, hey, look, for a couple days, let's just not run the coal thumpers. Or whatever. I mean, but let's not run the food kitchens. That we need to keep this stuff going because coal isn't going to be the problem, and let's let the coal supplies run down a bit. Not a lot, but a bit, while we conserve on the food and make sure we've got enough, of everything to last longer. But in either case, there's really nothing to do tonight, so let's speed this up. I'm going to stop it right here. I'm going to cut off the recording and save it. And that's because I keep having a crash shortly after midnight. So I want to make sure I've got a good save point here, and then I'll come back on the other side of that. Okay, so it appears we made it through that fine. I just left it on the slowest speed, didn't click around or anything, which seems to be the best way of doing things. And now it looks like we need more people in the infirmaries again. So let's go ahead and do that to the extent that's going to be needed. And probably safe to speed things up here. Oh, we got something else going on now. Danger of collapse, coal mine crisis. Sir, one of our engineers wants to talk to you. He's concerned about the danger that the cold poses to our mines. We're doing everything we can to heat the mines, but the air we're pumping into the shafts is so cold now that the hydraulic roof supports are starting to freeze. When they do, the tunnels will start collapsing. Okay, keep me informed. So it doesn't look like it's imminent crisis now. But that looks like maybe we want to continue, you know, stocking up or doing as well as we can with... Oh, looks like we need another infirmary. Doing as well as we can with the cold. You know, or with the coal. You know, and then once it gets cold past a certain point, it looks like we're not going to want to do that anymore because we might be killing our miners. And that's at the point when I would probably, you know, just, okay, we're not going to run the food kitchens anymore. So I think that's probably going to inform how I approach that decision. Okay, over 30 now. So we may, in fact, need to get another infirmary running as well. Hopefully not. You know, I think if it gets to that point, I'll just boost the healing with extra food rations to get people in there faster. Depending on where we're at with the coal situation, because I only have enough steam cores to buy one more, so... Or build one more, rather. Not buy. And there we are. We have reached the end of day 40. So we're down a significant amount in food, down to 3,500. I think maybe we can last close to a week on that, and there's no sign of the Great Frost letting up anytime in the future. So the only question is, will that be good enough? We can't go out and look at it. The whole Frostland map, the expedition, are disabled. So we'll have to see if we can continue holding on here as it gets ever colder. More of that coming up next time. Until then, thanks for watching.